You don't feel like one person. You feel like a different version of yourself depending on who you're with. Around some people, you're quiet. Around others, you're expressive. Sometimes confident, sometimes unsure. And the strangest part is, none of it feels fake, but none of it feels fully real either. So you start wondering, do I even have a personality? Or am I just reacting? You notice it in small moments. You laugh at jokes you wouldn't normally laugh at. You agree with opinions you're not fully sure about. You adjust your tone, your posture, even your interests. And it happens fast, almost automatically. Later, when you're alone, something feels off. You replay conversations. Why did I act like that? Was that even me? You try to figure out what your real personality is, but every version feels situational, like it only exists in context. This starts affecting how you see yourself. You hesitate to define who you are. You struggle to make decisions. You feel inconsistent, not unstable, not because you're confused, but because nothing feels fixed. And over time, a quiet fear grows. What if there's no core version of me at all? But here's the part that's easy to miss. This isn't identity loss. It's something else. Something your brain is doing very efficiently, and maybe too efficiently. You're not empty. You're not fake, and you're not losing yourself. What you're experiencing is hyper-adaptability. Your brain is exceptionally good at reading environments and adjusting you to fit them. This is actually a strength. It means you're socially aware, perceptive, responsive. But when this adaptation happens too fast and too often, something important gets lost. Not your personality, but your sense of continuity. Because identity doesn't just come from who you can be, it comes from who you remain across situations. And if you're constantly shifting, your brain never gets enough stable data to build that sense of self. So instead of feeling flexible, you start feeling undefined. But why does your brain prioritize adaptation over consistency? Your brain is wired for social survival, and one of its core systems is social attunement, the ability to read cues and adjust behavior to maintain connection. This involves networks tied to mirror neurons and predictive processing. In simple terms, your brain constantly asks, what version of me will fit best here? Then it generates that version quickly. Now, normally, this process is balanced. You adapt, but you also maintain a stable internal reference. But when adaptation becomes dominant, something changes. Your brain starts prioritizing external signals over internal signals, meaning who you are becomes based more on the environment than on your own consistent preferences, reactions, and values. This creates a gap between who you feel like alone and who you become around others. This is known as identity diffusion, not because you lack identity, but because your brain hasn't anchored it internally. Here's a simple way to see it. Imagine your identity as a shape. Every time you enter a new environment, that shape shifts to fit. At first, it's flexible, but over time, if it never returns to a base form, it becomes hard to remember what the original shape was. So your brain keeps adapting, but loses track of what it's adapting from. And that's where the discomfort comes from. Not change itself, but the lack of a stable reference point. This can be rebuilt, not by stopping adaptation, but by slowing it down and anchoring it. 1. Delay your first reaction. What to do? In conversations, pause slightly before responding. Give yourself 1 to 2 seconds. Why it works. This interrupts automatic adaptation and allows your internal signals to activate before external adjustment takes over. Example, instead of instantly agreeing with someone, you pause and notice your actual reaction first. 2. Track your baseline self in private. What to do? Spend time noticing how you think, feel, and react when you're alone. Write it down if needed. Why it works. This strengthens internal reference points in the brain, creating a stable identity baseline. Example, you realize alone you prefer certain opinions or interests you don't always express socially. 3. Allow small mismatches in social settings. What to do?
Let yourself disagree slightly, or react naturally even if it doesn't perfectly fit the group. Why it works. This reduces over-reliance on external validation and reinforces internal consistency. Example, if everyone likes something you don't, you say, "It's not really my thing." Calmly. Number 4. Notice when you switch versions. What to do? Become aware of the moment your personality shifts. Label it internally. I'm adapting right now. Why it works. Awareness reduces automatic behavior and brings it under conscious control. Example, you feel yourself becoming more agreeable than usual, and you gently pull back to a more neutral response. Number 5. Build continuity across environments. What to do? Choose 2 to 3 traits or values you want to carry into every setting. Keep them consistent. Why it works. This creates identity anchors, helping your brain maintain a stable self-model across contexts. Example, you decide, I'll stay honest and calm no matter who I'm with. Even if your tone changes, those traits remain. Here's the simplest way to understand this. You're not constantly changing, you're constantly adjusting. And there's a difference. Change comes from within, adjustment comes from the outside. Right now, your system is tilted towards adjustment, so every environment shapes you. But identity isn't about resisting change, it's about having something that stays, even while things shift. A quiet center, not rigid, just present. And the more you return to that center, the less you'll feel like you're disappearing inside different versions. You don't feel unstable because you lack a self. You feel unstable because your self moves too quickly to be recognized. But what moves can also pause. What adapts can also anchor. So the next time you notice yourself shifting, don't stop it completely. Just slow it down. Give yourself a moment to exist before you adjust. Because your identity isn't something you have to find all at once. It's something that becomes clear the moment you stop changing fast enough to lose it.